Prof. Madeline Berma from Fellow Academy Sciences of Malaysia. Madeline Berma received her doctoral of philosophy from University of Hull, England, Master of Art from the University of Wisconsin-Madison, and Bachelor of Economics from Universiti Kebangsaan, Malaysia. Madeline Berma is currently Fellow of Academic Science Malaysia. She served as Deputy Chair, Education Policy Review. She served as the Director, the Tun Fatimah Hashim Women's Leadership Center, Universiti Kebangsaan, Malaysia, from 2011 until 2016. Okay, for now, Prof. Madeline will deliver the topic, the impact and policy response for COVID-19 pandemic lesson from Malaysia for the archipelago economy. Please welcome Prof. Madeline Berma. The time is yours.
Terima kasih, Dr. Prince Charles. I like your name, Prince Charles. I thought I was referring to somebody from England. Thank you for inviting me to this program. So first of all, I would like to say thank you to the organizing committee, the chair of this, the director of KHAIRUN University. I must visit your university one of these days. I love the place. I saw the video just now. I said I must go to this place and eat lots of fish. Okay, and I would like to thank the dean of the faculty and also director of ICEBAT. Okay, and of course to all our students and participants who are here joining us to listen to our sharing of experiences and how to develop the archipelago economy. Now, what I intend to do today, I hope somebody can help me with the video. With the PowerPoint, because my line is quite unstable here. Can I have the video? Can I have the PowerPoint, the secretariat?
Please. Sharing.
Bisa bantu?
Yes, please wait.
Yeah, thank you. Because my line is unstable.
Okay.
Okay. That's the title of my presentation. It's called "The Impact and Policy Response for COVID-19: Lessons from Malaysia for the Archipelago Economy." Now, Prof. Cheng and I have agreed that she will provide the general overview, and I will provide a more specific focus on Malaysia. Okay, can we go to the next slide? All right, so my presentation is, there's only 3 parts to the presentation. Number 1, the pandemic COVID-19 and its impact. So, and then the second one is, what lessons can we learn from the Malaysian experience? Because Malaysia and Indonesia, we are really close neighbors. So we have a lot to learn from each other. And as you have rightly mentioned, someone have rightly mentioned, Indonesia is one of the largest archipelago economy. So there is something that you can learn from our COVID experience. And the third part is, what is it that we can learn and the way forward? Okay, can we just continue to the next slide? Oh, where are we? So, okay, no, you go up a bit. Lagi. Okay, can you just go down to the flattening of that slide? The graph, yeah. Okay, now, can you make it bigger? Is there any way you can make it bigger? Now, di Malaysia, kami sering menggunakan istilah, the term that we use in Malaysia is to flatten the curve. There are 2 curves that we need to flatten. Kami perlu, the word we use is melandaikan kelok. Kelok means curve. So there are 2 curves. Figure 1, can you go up to figure 1? That is what we call the pandemic curve, the COVID pandemic curve. We need to flatten that curve. And number 2 is the one below. That is the economic curve. Can you show that? Can you just move it down a bit? Oh. No. It's yeah. All right. Okay. That the figure 2 is the what we call is the economic curve. That is how can we prevent the economic recession from happening. The figure 1 was how to stop the pandemic from spreading. So what we do social distancing, and we heard Prof. Cheng was saying that in Malaysia we have what we call the social distancing, we have the lockdown, and it affects 2 aspects of the economy. One is from the production side, all the economic production just stopped. So in Malaysia, nothing happens. Only certain, what we call certain businesses or only certain essential goods are allowed to be transported. Now, the second part to the problem is that if we do not flatten the pandemic, it will create a deeper, what we call an economic recession. So that's why it is very, very important for us or Malaysia or even any countries that is in this COVID situation to flatten the two curves. One, the pandemic curve, and the other one, the effect of it is the economic curve. Okay, continue to the next slide. Okay, now why is this pandemic so important, and why is it that we should know, or rather, how can we address the problem and share the problem? Now, if you look at it, it is one of what we call, it is, we have many crises before this. Malaysia, Indonesia have experiences. We went through the 1997 Asian crisis. We went through the global crisis of 2008. And now we are in it together for the COVID-19 crisis. And if you look at the, Prof. Cheng did mention just now, the different, what we call, the different curves. You have the V curve, you have the U curve, you have the L curve, and in our case, we said there is also a W curve. So we have all the scenarios. What we want is definitely a V curve, meaning to say the economic dip, and then it goes up immediately. We are worried about a U curve, meaning to say it goes down, and then it just go on, and after that, then it goes up. And we are also worried about the L curve. The economy dips, and it just goes flat. So what Malaysia, or rather all the countries that are in this COVID situation, we are hoping to have all these policies in place so that we can experience what we call the V curve, an immediate recovery. Okay, continue. Okay, continue. Okay, this one I will not go into the details, but there are actually 10 or rather 17 implications of the Sustainable Development Goals that were affected by the COVID. Among them are poverty, loss of job, loss of income, and a lot of things. This one you can refer to my slide. I don't intend to go into the details because I am really very much keeping in with the time. I have another 7 minutes. Okay, continue. Continue. Now, this is a study that was just completed, conducted in Malaysia. So we did a 16,000 respondents involved in the study, and we found out that if you look at the curve on the left, on the figure on the left, 67.8% of the companies say that they do not have sales during the lockdown. So it is really affecting their businesses. And some of them managed to, very small percentage of them only managed to do online sales and things like that. Okay. Now, if you look at on the right figure, duration of survival for companies, 51 companies, 53.4%, you look on the right, only have 1 to 2 months ability to survive during this COVID. So many of them really, really are struggling. And in fact, the government, okay, continue the next slide. I will show it to you what the government has done later. Okay, so many of them rely on their saving. 68.9% are relying on their saving to accommodate their costs. Now, others, what is the impact on the employees? We found that many of them were half-paid leave. Others have to work from home. I think many of them took full-time or half-paid leave, and then some work from home, and others will have to reduce their working hours, and others have to take off unpaid leave. So these are the some. In fact, if you look at it, 3.8% are even terminated. Although the government have make policy responses by saying that they are wage subsidies. They said you should not lay off your employees, but to keep them. And in fact, the government gave what we call policy responses to give them the kind of support to ensure that they are able to employ the workers during the COVID pandemic. Okay, continue. I have another 5 minutes. Continue. Now, what are the impact? The main issues. If you look at the issues, it's all about salary payment, no customers, and what we call rental. So these are one of the key issues faced by the businesses in Malaysia. Okay, continue. Continue. Next slide. Continue. Yeah. Now, these are some of what we call the most affected sectors. In Malaysia, there are 3 sectors that are really most affected. Number one is what we call the businesses involved in food and beverage, hotels and all these things. So I'm sure Indonesia is also affected. Number two is the production sector of livestock, and the third one is agriculture. So this is really a big shock. And of course, our what we call the tourism sector is one of the highest, most affected. Okay, continue. I have another 4 minutes. Continue. Okay, this is just an example of the effect of the COVID. Some of them work from home, half paid leave, unpaid leave. They lost their job. And then some of them, number of working hours reduced, number of working hours increased, and some of them do not have impact. Most of them who don't have impact are mostly some like the GLCs and the top management. Okay, continue. Now, these are the new poor in Malaysia. After the COVID, we found out, one, they are the poorest of the poor. And then we also have the poor, they are working, but they are poor. There are also those who are self-employed, what we call them, they are the ones who are in the informal sector. Many of them have stopped their business. These are the self-employed poor. And there are also micro enterprise. They also, many of them, their businesses have stopped. So we have a new, what we call the new poor in Malaysia. Okay, continue. All right, this is Malaysia's stimulus package. Our stimulus package is actually, there are 3 stages to it. There are 3 stimulus package and 1 recovery plan. And the total cost of our stimulus package of date is actually about 90 billion ringgit, which is about 80% of our GDP. The biggest stimulus package in the history of Malaysian recovery. It is much higher than the one that we have done for the 1997 crisis, higher than the 2008 global crisis. So this is the biggest in the Malaysian history. So this is something that some people were arguing it is too big, but to me, I am okay with it because it helps to what we call to prevent the economy from really going down into full recession. Okay, I have another 3 minutes. Continue. Can we go straight to the lessons learned? Okay, this is the size of the package. Continue. What are the lessons learned? Okay, this is my second last slide. There are 7 things I want to share with our friends in Indonesia and also with friends from other countries, what I can learn from Malaysia. Number 1, it is a first health economic crisis, but in my opinion, this will not be the last of our crisis. There will be more crises to come, so we must be prepared for a crisis in the future. Number 2, we need new strategies to address crises. We cannot use the old crisis, and we cannot use the old approaches of addressing economic crisis. Are poor people, okay, during the crisis, give them food, give them money. But now we need new strategies. You know, one that is different, where we talk about technology, we talk about 4IR, we talk about a lot of things that Prof J had mentioned, and also Prof Cheng just now mentioned. And also you develop like the earliest speaker, Dr. Stans was mentioning about the local economy. Number 3, policy response cannot be just economics. It has to be a combination, a holistic combination of economic, social, health, and even environment. Number 4, we must develop our community strongly. We need to enhance the community resilience. We cannot just deny on the government. We cannot just deny on outsiders. We cannot just deny on things. We need to develop our community. So community resilience is very important. Number 5, quadruple helix, a good combination of government, public sector, private sector, NGOs, and the community. So we cannot, as I said just now, we cannot just say, oh, leave this to the government. Malaysia is very good at that. We tend to rely on the government too much that we forget to develop our own. Number 6, we must listen to the voice of the voicelessness, to the poor, to the marginalized, because they are the ones who will be left out in times of crisis. And the 7th one is to develop sustainable livelihood. So that brings me to my last slide and to my last presentation. Okay, the last slide. What are the sustainable livelihood? Continue. This is the sustainable livelihood sector. We take into account the vulnerability index, and most important, we need to focus on the livelihood assets. The one, if you look like the diamond, there are assets that we must develop in our community. Number 1, natural asset, the environment. it must be sustainable. Number two, we must have human capital. Human capital means what? Education, skill, and health. That one we must develop. Number three, we must have our what we call the financial capital. Our people must have the resources, the financial resources, and they must have physical capital to be developed and social capital. Indonesia is really good at that, meaning to say the networking, you know, the what we call vertical and horizontal. Indonesians are fantastic in terms of networking. So social capital, develop it. So we must develop that to ensure that the policies are good and to make sure that when the new crisis comes, we can come up with all this livelihood, how to increase more income, how we can increase the well-being, not just the income, how we can reduce vulnerability, we improve food security, we improve all the other things, and finally to have what we call a more sustainable use of our natural resources, for which Indonesia is, God has been fair to you, God has been very kind to us. We have been given abundance of resources. Now, the most important thing is how can we develop that resources? Thank you very much. With my that's my presentation for today. Thank you, Prince Charles.
Okay, thank you so much, Prof. Madeline.